So Chris here from AV.technology. I'm here with Joe, who is Biamp's VP of Corporate Development. And
intentionally vague. Intentionally vague.
It does give us a great opportunity to get that 300-foot view of the market from Biamp's perspective. So maybe starting first, Joe, with decoding what's going on in the meeting room side of things.
Yeah.
On one hand, it's the most boring subject in the world because it feels like these rooms are getting punched out like, I don't know, what do people punch out? But it's like very, very by script, by rote. How are you reading, I guess, where we're at in that part?
I think that's a very fair description of what's going on. And it's not accidental. Certainly, if I was making a metaphor to this, you would think back to when PCs came out, there was this huge explosion of diversity. There was all these companies that made them. They were similar, but each one had their own features and functionality. And then IBM came in and said, okay, the market's gotten big enough that we got to stop the chaos, standardize on a platform. And the PC was born.
Yep.
And you saw this big collapse in variety, but the market exploded, right? So it's sort of a pro and con kind of a story.
Yep.
And I think what we're experiencing now in the commercial realm of Pro AV, in the conferencing space in particular, is something very similar. So it used to be all the companies in Pro AV were coming out with cool little gadgets. They were all innovative, not necessarily compatible with one another, to a degree perhaps, but really every experience was a little more unique. And Microsoft and Teams, and Zoom principally, saw this opportunity as having grown big enough where it was needing standardization to reach the next level. And the last 3 years, we've witnessed them go do exactly that. And the same effect has happened, right? The market has exploded by standardizing the experience where customers' expectations could be more predictable, right? They knew what they were going to get, and that built confidence with them. But on the vendor side, it reduced the ability to go and create distinctive products. Distinctive products almost became contrary to this kind of this mission of standardization. And then what we see,
the installer as well. Like the installer,
very much.
It's not just from the Teams and Zoom sort of perspective. It's like having like a standardized cookie cutter, punch it out
type of thing.
5 rooms in a day, sort of, or I don't know how many rooms you can get in a day, but lots. There's that push from the market as well, I guess.
It's very much a factor, right? So I would say that the first wave was standardizing the experience, and then that moved to kind of standardizing the delivery of that experience in the form of equipment, right? So through the certification efforts, it produced more and more control, and that's continued on. Now, what they were seeking with some of that standardization was uniformity of the delivery experience, and that's where your comment about it's now affected the value add of the integrators, where the whole point is to take out the variability of the install process, take out the variability of the experience itself, and they've been wonderfully successful. We've been blessed with a massive market expansion, but it has called into question how what is our core value proposition now?
Yeah.
If it's no longer in unique experiences, then where do we go and find it?
So that exactly is my question.
Where do we go find it? What does Biamp do?
What is your answer?
So I think if you can no longer be the best product, because everybody's got good products and they're more similar than they are different, and it's not total, right? You still have some opportunity there. So we still try to, we don't give up on that. But the real thing we say is, well then, how do we be the best vendor? How do we be the best partner? And we look at what goes beyond the product experience that a customer cares about. And so it can be the delivery insurance, it could be product reliability, it could be pricing, it could be design elements of it. So how does it look in my space? It can be simple things like mounting considerations. So even terms and conditions on return policies and so forth. So there's a lot of business aspects that we now focus on as part of our relationship with these customers, not just we make products, here you go. And it's a bit newer. I mean, we clearly have always had part of that as part of our DNA. All companies must, but when it becomes a center of competitive distinction, you have to take it a lot more seriously.
Sure.
And we've been on that journey.
And I guess you must have a full suite. Like, I know this sort of sounds like a stupid question in some regards, but you do have the total solution for an in-room.
Very much.
So even with the control aspects and
yes.
all the touch and everything, you've got everything that opens and shuts.
Yeah.
You probably had that years ago. I was just trying to remember whether you had the sort of the touch control aspects down.
No, we do have all of those elements. So, but you're bringing up a great point, right? This is another area where a company like Biamp that has a broad-based business has an opportunity to distinguish ourselves from somebody who says, I make a great camera or I make a great bar. And it's like, well, no, I'm a great conference room provider of certified systems for Teams and Zoom, any size system with all of the bells and whistles that you might choose, all the option value. Yeah. So we're one of the very few people who support Zoom Intelligent Director and have been certified there. We have certifications that allow us to use all of the special certified accessible only features in Microsoft Teams.
Right.
We do that across all sizes of rooms. And with Biamp Workplace, we give you the ability to go and have visibility and control over that entire ecosystem from a centralized way. So we're looking at these support systems as a very important way of distinguishing ourselves.
Even with like the camera control stuff, is that still in your purview as well? Like for the bigger rooms, having multiple camera control.
We work with partners for that there. So our contribution is we have cameras, but usually in those larger spaces, they might be PTZ or other, optical cameras with high dynamic range in the zoom.
Yep.
And what they're looking for is support for the microphone systems to help them do a better job of tracking where those audience members are.
Yep.
And we work with the leaders in that field to go and deliver solutions.
Do you feel that the room personas now are set, like as far as huddle space, mid-size, big sort of boardroom spaces? Do you feel that, if they are set, is the AV world kind of being forced to provide product for less than ideal setups? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
You go into rooms and like the camera's like up here or down there, it's never sort of at eye level, or you've got rooms where people are facing each other but there's a screen over here, and it feels like we've still got a ways to go to actually get AV where it needs to be.
One of the things that makes AV unique from the PC story is the PC story was bounded by the screen and the case and everything. It was, even the structure of it was highly deliberate. And that's where it kind of stops. And in the AV world, the physical world, the dynamic, unpredictable, very highly varied physical world is just part of the equation. And that's what you're describing. You can still have badly designed rooms, you can have badly laid out rooms. There are equipment configuration problems, like talk about cameras that are mounted badly. That I consider as a lack of creativity on our part in the AV industry if you see rooms like that. That is our opportunity to go and say, we get that the experience has been standardized, but there's enough variability in the environment in which it's being placed that we can make sure that we're accounting for it properly, that the experience that's delivered is as intended. And I feel it's a kind of a cop-out if people blame the standardization of rooms for that. That is not, Teams and Zoom is not mandating that it be a bad experience. Certainly in Biamp's case, we were on a journey of trying to make installation process more standardized and easier. And so we had features like Launch, which auto-configures your system, tunes it for the acoustics of the room without regard to the UC.
Yep.
We've now aligned that capability with Teams and Zoom, so that capability itself is certified for both vendors, where they acknowledge that this takes the standardized, tested in a lab experience and is able to more effectively deliver it into the real world. So that what they aspire to, a high quality, standardized experience, is what you really get, despite the fact that the world is uncooperative and varied.
That's great. I think I'll end there, Joe. That's a really good way to conclude. Appreciate it.
Thank you.